Hey gamers, it's Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and I'm back with another installment in my tutorial series for how to solo Undaunted 2200 Callisto. This is a game by David Thompson and Trevor Benjamin, and it comes with a very extensive solo mode designed by David Digby and David Turtzi. In the previous video, I showed you how to set up, so we are all set up for scenario 1, and if you want to see how I got to here, then you want to watch the first video in this series that'll be in the playlist. In this video, I'm going to talk you through how a turn works with the bot with some special things that have changed from playing in 2 or 4 player mode. And we're going to do one more video that actually shows some extensive sample turns, and that ought to have you set. Round structure in Undaunted is and has always been fairly simple. You're going to do 3 things, and I'll walk you how to do it. You're going to draw cards, you're going to determine initiative, and then you're going to play out your turns. So how does that work with a bot? The bot is actually not going to draw cards quite the way that we do, so we're going to walk through it. During the draw cards phase, the only person who's actually drawing cards is, in fact, the person. That would be me. So we're going to draw 4 cards off the top of our deck. Let's see what we got. Okay, so we got kind of some decent stuff. We have a squad leader, we have a ripper, we have a survey tech, we have a nail gunner. The next phase of the round is going to be determining initiative. And what that means is that I've got these 4 juicy cards, and I need to choose which one of them I want to give up in a bid for initiative. Currently, the LFA, aka the bot, has initiative, and I have to decide just how bad I want it. Because the card that I play for initiative is a card that I'm not going to play for its actions during the round. So I certainly want to be bolstering. I don't think we're going to give up our squad leader, as tough as that is to say. I may want to use my ripper to move or attack, so we'll see. I do want to do some scouting, because if I'm going to play this game for points, then I need my survey tech out there. And then, again, nail gunners are good for moving, attacking, and suppressing. They're kind of a lower value card. So I think, let's say for initiative, I am going to go ahead and give up my ripper this time. So I'm going to put the ripper out for my initiative card. Then we're going to figure out what the bot wants to do for its initiative. So it's going to just draw a card at the top of its deck. Boom. Oh no, we weren't going to get anywhere with that anyway. Even if we'd played our highest card, the tie goes to whoever currently has initiative. So this bot was going to roll me on initiative no matter what. Yikes. So they've put out a sergeant. The LFA is keeping initiative. And what's unique about playing solo in particular is that this card is going to get discarded immediately, because I don't get to keep the card that I played for initiative. So this will go in my discard pile. But the bot, when it wins initiative, not only gets to go first, but it gets to keep the initiative card that it played. If I had won initiative, this card would disappear, but because I lost it and the bot kept it, it gets to play this card plus 3 more. I will note that if you want to scale the difficulty of the solo game, one of the things that you can do that's officially in the rulebook is that if you need an easier game, you can have the bot discard its initiative card just like a player would. Or if you want a harder game, you can actually let it have an extra card. So basically what that would mean is that you always draw 4 cards instead of 3 for the bot. And then if it wins its initiative, it gets to play 5 cards. So you can really, really punish yourself this way. And then what will happen is we'll just play out our turns. I will play out my turn as normal when it's my turn to go, but the bot is going to go first because it got initiative. So basically the way this is going to work is we've got our initiative card. And let's just put it here. Then we're going to draw 3 more cards off of the bot deck. 1, 2, 3. And the bot's going to play all 4 of these cards. How is it going to do it? Well, the first thing the bot's going to do is it's going to reorder all of its cards from highest to lowest number. And then it's going to play those cards in order, high to low. There is one thing that you have to watch out for with that, although not in scenario 1. So if you just look at the numbers in the top left corner, it's very easy to order these. So we have our captain, our sergeant, our scout, and then our corpsec. But in some scenarios, the value that's printed on the card is actually not relevant to the order that you're supposed to arrange the cards into once they're drawn. So for example, in LFA bot procedures for the navigator in solo scenario number 3, we have Navigator initiative value 7. So basically what that means is that in some scenarios, cards are worth something different in terms of the order that you operate them in than they are when you're actually drawing them to bid for initiative. So for example, this is from solo scenario 3. Again, it's not the one we're currently playing, but I want to show you this example. A Navigator typically just has this value of 3 on its initiative value. But if you go to a Navigator in the bot chart, it says initiative value 7. And what that means is that when you're just seeing who's going to play first, this card isn't worth as much. But when you're determining what order the cards go in during a bot turn, this card becomes much more valuable, and you do need to run it before other cards with lower values. So when you're looking at bot procedures, do check for that extra initiative value, because it may determine the order that you do stuff in as the bot. But for now, we're having a perfectly nice vanilla first scenario, and so the card's order will stand. The bot is going to activate the captain, then the sergeant, then the scout, then the corpsec. And squad Y is having a big turn. So I'm actually going to move the detailed turns to the next video, so that if you're just looking for an overview, this is going to be quicker and simpler for you. But what's going to happen next is that the bot is going to do all of its cards. So the way that's going to work is you open up the bot procedures, you make sure that you're looking at the correct bot, so the LFA is the bot this time. We, the humans, are going to be playing the breakers. And for each of these cards, you're going to find the entry that's in the scenario book, and then you're going to carry out basically what it says. This is essentially a flowchart that is going to help you determine what's happening in the board state, and then in response, what the bot is going to do. So, for example, if we come to the captain here, it's going to tell us roll a d10. So I have a d10, let's roll it. Okay, so we got a result of 6. What that means is that it's going to take a command action. And what that means for us, unfortunately, here is that this bot is going to take a monster turn. Because when you command, you pull more cards off the top of your deck. So it's going to command 2. We'll take one more card here. Okay, we've got a commander. We'll just put it here. And then we also are going to pull a sergeant who's going to go next to Sergeant Y. Basically, the way this works is that if you draw a card with a high value, it'll go to the left of all the cards that are worth less than it in the row. If it has a lower value, then it'll go to the right of all of the cards that have a higher value. And if they're tied, then it'll come in on the right, which is what we've done here. So now, unfortunately, this bot is going to take a massive turn, and we are just going to have to deal with it. So this card's action is over. But now we're going to move down the line, and we're going to go through the chart for every single one of these cards. So for Sergeant Y, we'll go to Sergeant, and then we are going to basically just keep moving down the list. So for example, for Sergeant, it tells me the first thing that's going to happen is that matching cards in the play area, it's going to inspire for 2. So Sergeant Y has a couple of cards that it can inspire. So we're going to play it to inspire both the Scout and the corpsec, and I'm putting them sideways to indicate that I'm going to resolve it once, turn it upright, and resolve it again, because inspiration lets cards act a second time. So basically the bot is absolutely going to kick our butts this turn. Oh my lord. So now we're going to move on to Sergeant Z, and Sergeant Z would attempt to bolster, but there are no Z squad cards that are in our lineup. We have 2 Y cards that have already been inspired, sadly, and we also have an A. So Sergeant Z cannot inspire. That means that we're going to move to the second option in our little flow chart here for this card. And instead, we're going to bolster 2 cards in the matching squad. So what that's going to mean is that the bot is going to get a couple of new cards. So in this case, because the Sergeant is in squad Z, we're going to get 2 new Z cards, and we're going to put them in the bot's discard pile. So let's just say the discard pile is off over here for now. It's going to be 2 Z cards that go in it. So if this is bot discard, it now has 2 extra cards from Z squad sitting there because we just bolstered. And now the Sergeant's done. That leaves us with 3 more cards to go and plenty of carnage, but I feel like we have basically given you a rundown of how this works. Now that we're on the Scout, we're going to go to the Scout, and then we would go through this chart to see the first thing that that Scout is able to do. And the first thing it can do is the thing that it will do. And because this has been inspired, it's actually going to do that twice. Once we fully resolve Scout Y, we'll go to Corpsec Y. We'll do the exact same thing. We'll come to the Corpsec chart, We will act twice because it's been inspired, so it'll do one action and then tilt and do the next one, and then we'll resolve the commander, and that would be the full bot turn. Then we take our turn as normal. However, there's one thing about the bot that is very different from a normal player, and I want to cover that now before I go into the video that is just sample turns, because I think it's really, really important to flag it, and it'll make your solo play a lot smoother. So I've pulled out the rules for a player just so we can talk about them, and I'll put like a little blow up in the corner of the screen. But when you get attacked and you were successfully attacked in a game of Undaunted, there's an order in which you as a player have to remove cards associated with the unit that got attacked that is different from what the bot's going to do. So for us, we have to, if possible, remove the card from our hand. So if you get attacked successfully, it can really damage your next turn if you didn't have initiative. If the related card is not in your hand, then you have to go to your discard pile. So that's the next place that you look. And then if it's not in your discard pile, you have to remove it from your deck and then shuffle your deck. And then there are real consequences for not having any more instances of that card. So if you have a unit that's attacked and there is no matching card in your hand, in your discard pile, or in your deck, that unit becomes neutralized and is removed from the game. Even if you had more instances of that card in your supply, if you didn't get them into your deck, too bad, so sad, your unit gets neutralized. However, because the bot doesn't strategically bolster, it just takes cards off of a deck that's associated with a squad that gets bolstered in the course of play, the rules for the bot are different. So while you only have to lose cards from your hand, discard pile, and deck to lose a unit, for the bot, you have to get rid of all the cards in its hand, and we're going to talk about this in a second. You have to get rid of the cards in its discard pile, you have to get rid of the cards in its deck, and you also have to get rid of the cards in its supply. So it takes more effort to neutralize a unit that's controlled by a bot than it does to eliminate one that is controlled by a player. And that's something that you need to know. In order to truly neutralize a bot unit, you need to get all of the instances of the card associated with the token out of its deck, its discard pile, and its supply. So you have to do more than you would for a human player. There's one other very important thing to note that will help the bot simulate play against a person, even though it isn't one. And that is when you successfully attack a bot and you remove one of its cards from its discard pile, its deck, or its supply, you're still potentially missing out on one really important part of play, which is the bot doesn't have a hand, so you can't necessarily eliminate something from its hand. And so to make up for that, there's a little procedure that you do if you have initiative to simulate knocking a card out of the bot's hand and making it less efficient on its next turn. And that is, if I have the initiative, and if I successfully attack one of the bot's units, so let's say that I somehow successfully attacked Corpse Deck Y over here, I will put one of my little control markers on it. And then when it's the bot's turn to go, as you can see, it did draw Corpse Deck Y. If that were to happen during its turn, I would check, oh, my control marker is there, and I would discard this card, and the bot wouldn't get to play it, because if it had been a human player, when I removed a card after a successful attack, it would have come out of the bot's hand. So when you successfully attack the bot, you remove a card from its discard, its deck, or its supply as usual. But if you had initiative, you also mark the unit token that is associated with the card that you successfully attacked, so that if it shows up in the bot's hand during its turn, you can actually discard that card and simulate knocking it out of the bot's hand, just like you would in play against a human. And that is an overview of a turn of Undaunted Callisto versus a bot. Just remember, it's pretty simple. You draw cards, you determine initiative, and then you play out your cards. For the bot, there are detailed instructions in the scenario book for every scenario about what you should do. And just remember that when you're attacking, you have to get rid of all the bot's cards that are associated with the unit token in order to neutralize, even if they are in the bot's supply. And also, you do still potentially get to eliminate cards from the bot's hand after a successful attack. Just remember to place a reminder if you have initiative and the bot has yet to go. So now that we've done a round structure overview, check out my next video for some detailed play. We're going to do 2 full sample turns so that you can get a taste for how the game works, and then you can go enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon, and happy gaming.